Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of a podcast hosted by myself, The New Sandwich. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to call this the Ramble Sandwich, and that'll be the name of the podcast, The Ramble Sandwich, because I'm thinking this is probably going to be a lot of me rambling, and I have to remember that this is going to be a podcast rather than a video, although I am filming it and it will go on the YouTube channel. The primary means of how I'm expecting people to consume this is through a podcast feed. With that in mind, I'm going to have to do some reworking with my audio setup so that we don't get any of the pops or the spiking or anything like that with volume. But welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for, for tuning in. This one is going to be a little bit scattered, which hopefully you're used to by now if you've been watching my channel. I'm going to try to just figure this out as I go, much like I'm doing with that no combat Skyrim playthrough right now. Just kind of playing it by ear, and as I notice things that need improvement, I'll address them and make everything better. And over time, I think we'll end up with something that's pretty great. So, I guess that's a good time, or now's a good time to kind of talk about what I want this podcast to be. First and foremost, I want this podcast to always be between a half an hour and an hour. And maybe less than a half an hour, but I never want it to go more than 1 hour because I don't think that I have enough to talk about to make it an hour long show. And if I'm going past that, that means I'm just going on about things that should probably be should be about a third of the time spent on them. So that's number one. Number two, I want to have some intro music. I'm going to try to reach out to a few people that I've met online to see if I can use some of their music for intro. The video version of this, I want to have a little bit of kind of an overlay. It may be on this video, it may be on the next one. Holy moly, brightness is just out of control. Sorry, again, I'm just talking about how this is an audio focused show, and then I'm getting fixated on the video. So, yeah, I want this to have somewhat of an overlay so that as I'm talking about certain games or topics, I can have them be a part of the video, and so you can click on things and have a better context of what I'm talking about. In addition to that, I also am going to have links in the YouTube description, links in the show notes for the podcast version, and hopefully the intention is to provide a well-rounded experience, whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're just listening to this on your phone or your iPod or whatever. People have iPods anymore? I don't know. I'm assuming phone. So I think those are the two big ones I want to touch on, and I don't really know exactly what I want this show to be. I know that I kind of want to have topics, or I will have topics that I want to cover. Similar to when I would have the videos, the kind of let's talk about such and such. This is going to be an expanded version of that, but I also really, really think that this is a good time for me to be able to include guests, because I can have them on remotely, and yeah, in the video you'll see like the Skype or Hangouts or whatever we may use, but on the audio version, it'll just sound like it's myself and someone else talking about something. So I think that'll be a good way to do that. And touching back quick on the video, I want to work on all of this, and what I'm doing, I'm kind of pointing to the background here. If you're watching the video, you'll see there's a bit of a mess going on. We just had my son's first birthday party, so we've got all of his toys back here. I'm getting rid of a few games for a friend on eBay, which is all this here. So I want to do something to kind of clean that up a little bit, kind of just make this whole thing feel a little bit more professional, even though I don't claim to be a professional. I like to try to give off that appearance as much as possible. So with that out of the way, I've thought about a few things that have been on my mind, and I kind of wanted to, I wanted to talk about what those things are and just my thoughts on things, and hopefully get you thinking and hear what you guys think about it too. So, first and foremost, E3. E3 has just been over. What was that? Last week? I think it was last week. Yeah. Boy, time just kind of blends together. Maybe it was no, it was last week because the big stuff happened on the weekend. Uh, so E3 happened. I have an Xbox One, and I wouldn't say I have an allegiance toward Xbox, but I am much more comfortable on the or in the Xbox ecosystem. I used to be a really, really big PlayStation 2 fan. Any of my friends that have known me for a long time know that PS2 and Sony were my go-tos. I love those systems, and I still do. But the PS2, they had the big PS2, they call it the fat PS2, had a lot of trouble reading discs, and I got hit with that. And at the time, I was younger, I was in high school, and I felt personally burned by that. So I strayed and ended up on Xbox 360. And when the new consoles came out, I went with the Xbox 360, and I've just kind of stuck there ever since. I do have a PS3, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Excuse me. But with E3, Microsoft was, because of everything I just said, Microsoft was the one, was the big event that I was really looking forward to. And I had a few predictions going into it. I'll say, I pride myself on doing a pretty good job of predicting what I think Microsoft is going to do or what I think Microsoft should do. I wrote an article a while ago, and any of my friends are going to be like, oh my God, he's talking about this article again. Yes, you got a few things right, enough. But I wrote this article a long time ago, and it was kind of like, this is what Microsoft needs to do to basically get their act together. And as the months and years passed, it was like, wow, they were doing exactly what I listed in this article. So I'll include that in the description in the show notes so that so you can check that out if you like. And I had a few predictions that I was pretty sure about, and I still don't know. I said that they're going to have two new Xboxes. There's going to be one that's kind of like, I don't know if I ever said slim. I'd like to say that I did, but I think I said there's going to be one that's like a minor hardware revision. And there's also going to be another one which is like a huge jump in specs, which isn't any. These aren't, I'm not the only one who's saying this. This was in the news, but and that did come to pass. They announced the Project Scorpio, which is going to be the really big new Xbox. They didn't give a whole lot of information, really hardly any at all, other than it comes out next year. And they did announce the Slim, which seems interesting. I probably won't be getting it because I want to get the Project Scorpio, whatever that may be. But I think Microsoft is in an interesting position because of Windows and how they're merging Xbox and Windows. So they're putting those so close together. I could see, and kind of with some other technologies that are happening, DirectX 12. I'm not going to get into the details of that because I don't know them and I will get something wrong. But it's my understanding that with DirectX 12, you can just treat resources as resources and use them accordingly. So a game could come out that's developed, as long as it's developed under the Universal App platform, Microsoft's Universal App platform, a game could come out for Xbox and run on any of what I think Microsoft would be smart to lay out a few different hardware configurations, which they've kind of done. And that would allow these games that came out to just scale accordingly and do what they need to do to take full advantage of whatever resources that particular box has. And I really think that's where they're heading. And I kind of thought that Microsoft would come out with even more SKUs for the Xbox, which is, it's kind of a weird thing to think about that there could be that many different Xboxes. But I don't know if maybe down the road, Xbox becomes a brand, almost like a Steam machine, that someone else, Dell, could make. Or let's say Alienware. Alienware could make their area Area 51X, and what it basically is Windows 10 running Xbox. And they have their hardware spec. It's been approved by Microsoft. The games just run on there. I don't know. I'm getting way out into left field here, but I still think that that's something that's interesting and may come to pass. But I am certainly happy with Project Scorpio. I think it's great that they're going to come out with a really high-end console system. I love what they're doing with the whole Play Anywhere thing, where if you buy on Xbox, you get it on PC. I think that's great. The closer they can get PC and Xbox together, it's better for everybody. I know some people aren't fans of the Universal App thing, the whole concept of Universal App, but I guess because of the closed nature of it. But I don't know. I don't see a problem with it, and I probably shouldn't say it that way. Not because I've looked at it in depth and I have decided that this is not a problem. But I don't personally think that it's something to get really riled up about. I think I think that it's better for, I don't know. I sometimes don't feel qualified saying some of these things, but I personally don't feel that it's bad for gamers. I feel like it's better for gamers. Why would you not want to be able to play your games on more things? I don't know. So I think all that's really interesting, and I guess it's very different between Microsoft and Sony. You know, where at least their presentations this year. I think Microsoft was much more like system changes, improvements to the Xbox OS, Windows 10, hardware announcements and things like that. And they had games. They certainly had a lot of games, which I'm not really going to go into super detail on because some of them look great. But I think, I don't know, I won't do them justice, so let somebody else who's more knowledgeable talk about that. But since we're talking about games, let's talk about Sony. And where Sony announced a lot of really awesome games and a lot of existing franchises getting some really cool new things. I think God of War looks really awesome. I know a lot of people are excited about the Crash thing. Personally, it doesn't do a whole lot for me. I played those games. I love them, but I don't really feel any kind of desire to go back and play them. But that's just me. What else did Sony announce? There were a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff that they announced, and a lot of awesome looking games. I just read this. I don't think this was covered at E3, but Indigo Prophecy is getting a remake for PlayStation 4, which is awesome. I loved that game, Indigo Prophecy, one of my all-time favorite games. I played it on PS2 when that first came out. I think it's called Fahrenheit outside of the United States. But wow, what a great game. Made by the guys, I shouldn't say that. The team who did Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls? I always get that mixed up with, there was another one that came out around that time. It's similar. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, Sony's E3 thing was very game focused, and Microsoft was very like system changes and hardware focused. I think that's fine. I don't know. Obviously, the two are still competing, but I feel like we've gotten out of that initial thing where it's like, who's going to buy what? Who's going to buy what? It's like people have kind of like settled into what they want. I think eventually we're going to get to that point where people have both. That may be myself included. I think I don't feel a strong desire to get a PlayStation 4, but I could see the right games coming out and at the right price. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. I'll have a PlayStation 4. It probably won't ever be my main console, but it's nice to have to play those exclusives. And because there's not a lot of differentiation between the systems anymore. I mean, I think as it stands right now, the PS4 is the more powerful of the two. But a lot of things they both do, and as soon as one announces something, the other one's like, hey, me too. So it really does come down to the games now, and I guess Xbox has the legacy stuff if you have any Xbox 360 digital games that you can play backwards compatible. So anyway, with that said, my feelings on E3 were like awesome. Like, this is a great time to be a gamer. I don't think there was much, if anything, that came out of E3. People were like, I'm so mad about this. This is the worst news ever. I don't think, not that I heard at least. I tried to avoid those kind of news articles and things like that, where it's like, I played this game and it was the worst thing ever. Just like the negative approach to games journalism, which gets way too much attention in my opinion. Uh, so yeah, I mean, whether you're an Xbox fan or a Sony fan, and I didn't catch a lot of what Nintendo had to say, but from what I've heard, Pokemon looks awesome, Zelda looks awesome. Really, no surprises there. They're first party games. I guess Pokemon's technically made by Game Freaks, but for all for what we're talking about here, those are kind of staple franchises for Nintendo, and of course they're going to be awesome. And I'd be lying if I said that Pokemon Sun and Moon didn't kind of make me wish that I had a new 3DS, but as it stands right now, I do not, and I don't think that I'll be getting one anytime soon, but who knows? We'll see. So some other E3 things, and kind of E3 related, kind of not. I wanted to talk a little bit about Final Fantasy 15, and I'm not going to talk about what Final Fantasy 15 is, because I honestly don't know. Again, I'm not knowledgeable enough to give you all the details, but what I want to say is that I am very excited for that game. I can't really tell you why. There's a great podcast that I've been listening to called Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts Union, and I'll put a link to their podcast and YouTube channels in the description and in the show notes. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of their hype getting excited for Final Fantasy 15, talking about some of the older games. Game Informer recently did I don't remember what they're calling it, but they went back and Game Club, yeah, the Game Informer Game Club, where everyone's playing through a certain game at a certain pace, and they did Final Fantasy 7, and I never played that game. I know. I have it. I need to play it. But as they were talking about it, I was like, man, this sounds like so much fun. And they're talking about all these awesome characters, and I just never got invested in that world. I played Final Fantasy 8, I think up to like the second or third disc on the PlayStation. But that's really my experience with Final Fantasy. I did play a little bit of 13, not a whole lot. But yeah, I don't know, something about 15. It just seems like there's a lot of hype going on around it, but not that kind of hype where it's like, this is going to be the best game of all time. People are just like, this game looks awesome. Everything we've heard about it so far sounds awesome. We've got really talented people working on it. And, I'm just excited. I'm excited to play it, and I'm excited to be excited about a game that's coming out, because that hasn't happened in a while, Yeah, I don't really know what much more to say about Final Fantasy other than it looks great. I mean, and you'll have to let me know in the comments or shoot me an email and let me know what you think about Final Fantasy if you're interested in it. But I've been kind of walking that thin line of hearing a little bit about it, but not purposely going out of my way to like get every detail that's been announced. Whoa. You can probably just like feel my hands moving around this microphone if you're listening to the audio version of this. But yeah, I lost it. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've been kind of walking that line where I'm trying to avoid too much from the game. If I hear something about it and it kind of gets me excited for the game, that's cool, but I'm not going out of my way to hear every little announcement about the game. It's more of me just kind of learning about that Final Fantasy universe and the other stories that have already happened. So I think what I'll do is close this last episode with just what I've been playing recently. As I mentioned in a few videos, I did get a PlayStation 3 not too long ago, and I've been building my collection of games that I just missed, honestly, from the last generation. And the biggest of that, I think, is the Uncharted series. I played a little bit of the first one, but I never finished any of the Uncharteds. So I picked up Uncharted 1, which I think was like $2.99 at GameStop, like crazy cheap. And I've been playing that. It's rough around the edges here and there. I mean, it feels like an old game at times, but it's good. It's so good, and I just finished that up, and it was the first time in a long time that I finished a game where I was like, yeah, that was good. Maybe a little bit could have been a little bit shorter, but it's like it felt like about the right amount of time. The story was good. I was happy with the way the story ended. Ready to play the next one. And it's all around. I mean, there's not too much to say about Uncharted that hasn't already been said. Like they do the like theatrical things really, really well. Kind of scripted events that happen. These kind of like bombastic things, and things are falling, and they do that stuff really, really, really well, and making you feel like you're in a real world is something they do really, really well. So I'll be playing the second Uncharted eventually, but I'm actually going to be starting maybe tonight Resistance, the very first Resistance for the PlayStation 3, because I missed that series completely as well. So I want to get through that, and then I think after Resistance, I want to play Killzone 2, because I played Killzone 1 on PS2 and really, really liked it. I probably should pick that up because I am going to be having a PS2 here. Probably by the end of the week, I'll have a PS2 that I can start playing some of those games that I missed. I did have, like I said, I did have a PS2, and I had a lot of the games, but I'm looking forward to going back and playing some games again and checking out some things that at the time didn't seem interesting to me, that now I'm like, I really wish I had those games. So yeah, I'm just working through these games that I haven't that I hadn't played before, I hadn't finished before, and outside of that, I've just been playing Skyrim, loving Skyrim. Speaking of E3, how did I go through that without talking about the Skyrim remaster? Like, whoa! I mean, not whoa, like whoa! I can't believe they're doing that, but whoa! Like, I cannot wait for that game to come out. Just for the fact, I would have been completely happy if they were just like, hey, backwards compatibility for Skyrim is coming to the Xbox One. I'd be like, yes, that's exactly what I want, because I just want to be able to sit on the couch and play Skyrim. I could do that now with a series of wires and controllers and things like that. But that's kind of a whole big thing. And because my computer's in here, my television is out there, like 2 rooms away. And so just having Skyrim accessible with a click of a button, again, is going to be just amazing, and I cannot wait for that to come out, and that will just take over my life, I'm sure, like Skyrim did when it first came out. But I think that'll be a really good thing to tide me over until Elder Scrolls 6 is announced and comes out and all that, and I'm really looking forward to Elder Scrolls Legends as well. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to playing that. So I'm kind of straying a little bit. I know I'm bouncing between topics. So I think rather than try to extend this, I'm going to wrap it up here, and I'm just going to say thank you so much for watching and listening, and for bearing with me through this first episode. I'm sure that you're probably like, this guy has some serious concentration issues, and you're right. And for the future episodes, I'm going to try to prepare a little bit more, have things have a little bit more structure, and just have a better plan. But I had said I was going to have this out this week for Wednesday, and I wanted to stick by that. And that's been something that I've been trying to do with my channel in general, is even if things aren't perfect, it's a work in progress. I have to stop hitting this microphone. Even if things are a work in progress, I think it's still important at this early stage to just get the videos out there and improve where you notice that you need improvement. So, I'll say how you can get in touch with me. I'm the new Sandwich, basically anywhere you look for me. And make sure you check out the old Sandwich, which I know if there are channels out there with no content, it can be kind of hard to find. So I'll put a link to that also down in the description. And for the YouTube version stuff, where I can, I'll put links in the annotations and the cards. And I probably won't have a video up on the old Sandwich anytime soon, but I'm going to start playing the first game for that channel, which is going to be Shadowrun. I think it's Shadowrun Returns. It's one of the Shadowrun games. One of my buddies gave me a copy of that through Steam, and I was interested in it. I think it looks like a lot of fun, so I'm going to be checking that out and start recording some content to put up my video on the old sandwich. But as far as getting a hold of me, look for me on Twitter, Snapchat, the New Sandwich. You can search on Facebook for the New Sandwich and join the group there. I post most of the videos to that channel, and any other little things that I may be working on or thinking about, we'll go on the Facebook page. And I think, let me think. Last but not least, I want to set up an email, and but I don't want to put that out there yet because I don't have it set up. Look down in the description. I may have the email included down there, and if not, it will be on the next one. I'll also post the email in the Facebook page, so that if you have any thoughts or suggestions that you don't want to put in a comment or on Twitter or anything like that, you can contact me that way as well. So thank you again for toughing it through this first episode. If you did, I really, really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to doing the next one and seeing where this whole thing goes. It will definitely be a work in progress, but I'm going to stick with it. And I think it'll be something great. And I'm really looking forward to having some other people on here. So with that, I am going to say I hope you have an excellent day. Make sure you do something nice for somebody, and I will catch you on the next one. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to check out anything that I'm working on. I just put up a video about how to clean your pre-owned games. The Skyrim video will be coming out on Friday, as usual. So yeah, check that out. I'd really appreciate it if you gave the videos. I'd appreciate it if you did something with the YouTube channel. Let's leave it at that. Do something with the YouTube channel. Like something, comment something, subscribe, whatever you feel like doing. I'd really appreciate it. And I will catch you guys on the next one, the next episode of the Ramble Sandwich. So I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.